Hi, my name is Casey and my country is Mongolia. Mongolia has a population of 3.1 million people, with the official language being Mongolian. It is considered to be a low to middle income country with a per capita income of $13,000. The capital city of Ulaanbaatar is where over 45% of the population lives. A little bit of history is the Mongolian Empire was the largest empire in the history of the world, and it was led by Genghis Khan in the 13th century. After his death, the Mongols returned to their grassy homelands where they went under Chinese rule. In 1921, the Mongolian Revolution ended Chinese control. However, that was short-lived because in 1924, the Communist Party, that was heavily influenced by the Soviet Union, took power. In 1990, the country underwent a peaceful democratic revolution. Mongolia has 19 different ethnic groups, with Khalkha being the majority. The most common religion is Buddhism. Mongolia has a very young population, with the median age being 28.8 years and over 42% of the population being under the age of 30. The urban population is 68.4%, and that's concentrated in the capital city, Ulaanbaatar. However, 36% of the population still lives traditional nomadic lifestyles. This lifestyle has influenced every part of Mongolian culture, from the size of the family unit to traditional gender roles, where men will be in charge of herding and slaughtering animals, whereas women will be in charge of cooking, washing, and taking care of children. It also influences the food that they eat. Their diet mostly consists of meat and dairy products, including horse milk, which is the national drink. Vegetables are very limited because there's not a lot of ground that can be used for agricultural purposes. There's a very high literacy rate of 95.4%. Mongolia is located in northern Asia, landlocked between Russia and China. It is the 20th largest country in the world. For a little perspective, the Netherlands can fit into Mongolia over 37 times. It is the least densely populated country in the entire world, with only 2 people per square kilometer. The climate is mostly continental, with unpredictable weather and large seasonal temperature changes. The average temperature in January is negative 30 degrees Celsius, while the average temperature in July is plus 30 degrees Celsius. The terrain is mostly steppe and desert steppe, with mountains to the northwest and the Gobi Desert to the south. Land use, 73% of the land is used for agricultural purposes. Of the 73%, 72% is for permanent pasture, with only 0.4% being arable land, or land that you can use to grow crops. Environmental concerns include the limited natural freshwater resources in some areas, because while it has a total area over 1.5 million square kilometers, only 10,000 of those kilometers are water. Another health concern is the burning of solid fuels like coal and lack of enforcement of environmental laws, causing air pollution in Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia's economy. So Mongolia has a GDP of $39.73 billion, which is mostly composed of agriculture, industry, and services. So some of the agricultural exports would be cattle, wheat, cashmere, wool, and fun fact, Mongolia is the leading exporter of camels worldwide. Some of their main industries are mining of coal, copper, tin, and gold, oil, and the processing of animal products. For the labor force, there are 1.2 million people working in Mongolia, with an unemployment rate of 8% and a poverty rate of 29.6%. Some of the main imports are equipment, fuel, cars, food, tobacco, and soaps. The government of Mongolia is a semi-presidential republic that consists of 3 branches. The first, the executive branch, is led by the president. Under him is the prime minister and the cabinet. The legislative branch is a unicameral house with 76 seats. There's two major parties, the former Communist Party, now called Mongolia's People's Party, and the Democratic Party. The judicial branch consists of the highest courts, which would be the Supreme Courts, and 21 smaller provincial courts. Mongolia's health status. So let's look at some basic statistics. Their life expectancy at birth is 70 years. Their infant mortality rate is 15.3 per 1,000 lives. Mongolia has seen vast improvements in this. It's down from 63.4 per 1,000 in 1990. They have also seen improvements in the maternal mortality rate, which fell from 199 per 1,000 in 1990 to 26 in 2015. Because of these successes, Mongolia was able to achieve their Millennium Development Goal for maternal and child health. Mongolia has a high number of licensed medical workers with a physician density of 3.16 per 1,000. Most of which work in urban areas. Their hospital bed density is 7 per 1,000. While Mongolia has proper human and medical resources for their population, the main barrier to access of healthcare is going to be the geography of the country. It's just so large that people have to travel a really far, long distance to get medical treatment. The total expenditure on health per capita is $565. Just for perspective, if we compare that to the U.S., we spend $10,739 per capita. The top 5 leading causes of death in Mongolia are ischemic heart disease, stroke, liver cancer, cirrhosis, and neonatal disorders. You can see from the proportional mortality in the bottom right corner that non-communicable diseases account for an estimated 80% of all deaths in Mongolia. So the Mongolian healthcare system, the Ministry of Health is going to be the head of policy management as well as the leading governing body of the entire healthcare system. In regards to public health, they have the Public Health Institute, which is in charge of running all the government programs, clinics, and interventions. Under public health, they also have the Zoonotic Disease Research Center. A little bit of healthcare history in Mongolia. So they had universal healthcare that was completely funded by the government from 1921 to 1990. And that was after they gained their independence from China. And that's mostly due to the socialist influence that the Soviet Union had during the communist rule. However, in 1990, when they introduced a free market economy, it brought in a lot of private healthcare as well. The Mongolian Constitution of 1992 gives citizens the right to live in a safe environment with free access to, at the very least, primary care, because healthcare is not universal anymore. The health law, which was revised in 1998, 2006, and 2011, gives the right to access primary care, maternal, and child health services and some public services, regardless of one's ability to pay or whether or not they have insurance coverage. The Health Act of 2011 categorizes health services as either public health or medical care. So for service delivery, there's 3 different levels of care. The first is primary, and that's going to happen at the district level. So this is going to be the provinces divided up into their smaller districts, and it consists of smaller health centers, public health, primary health care clinics, and the drug revolving fund. In these areas, there's no private pharmacies, so this fund is used to cover all the medications for the more rural citizens. The second level is secondary. This is going to be your regional clinics, hospitals, maternity, ambulance services for the capital city, and private clinics, as well as traditional medicine. So one of the major health concerns facing Mongolia today is air pollution, which the WHO has named as the single greatest environmental health risk. Ambient air quality in Ulaanbaatar is 6 to 10 times worse than what is considered safe by WHO standards. This is especially true in the wintertime when poor air quality is exacerbated by overburning of solid fuels such as coal, both in the home and in power plants. It's also made worse just by the high population density in the capital city. There's a lot of cars which emit a lot of pollution into the air. 1,123 deaths could be associated with poor air quality in Mongolia. Another concern, as we saw from the leading causes of death chart on one of our previous slides, is non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, stroke, liver disease, and cancers, as well as diabetes. These diseases account for an estimated 80% of all deaths in Mongolia. One of the diabetes is not one of the leading causes of death. However, its prevalence is rising as a 9.6% prevalence in adults, and with 20.9% of adults being obese and 48.2% being overweight, it is becoming a leading concern in the country. Infectious diseases, although they are not included in the top 5 leading causes of death, they are still a major concern for the country. Tuberculosis is especially prominent in this region, as it is one of 7 TB high-burden countries within the Asian region. However, they are making strides to meet their regional goals, and they do have an 84% treatment success rate. Other infectious diseases that are prominent within the country are STIs. They account for 35% of all registered infectious diseases. A health challenge that I thought was pretty unique to Mongolia was zoonotic diseases. They have a high prevalence of these diseases and outbreaks of pretty novel diseases such as the plague, just due to their nomadic lifestyle and their proximity to livestock and different animals. So in 2012, there was an outbreak of avian influenza, which is bird flu that killed 30 people. They've also had outbreaks of rabies, anthrax, different types of food poisonings, and mumps. Another concern for Mongolia that's been a challenge for them is substance abuse problems. So there's a high prevalence of alcohol abuse, especially among men, with 10.8% prevalence. This is associated with high death rates due to liver disease as well as traffic accidents. It's also one of the leading contributors to domestic violence. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Mongolia's healthcare system. Here are my references.